so welcome to Tiny Toys Tuesdays, episode 2.
That was the second one.
Yes, it's the second one. We have some ideas coming up for the next couple weeks. Me and Erica jotted down some ideas, so we'll be looking at doing some of those because obviously we don't have a new tome to review. Hopefully soon.
We'll just make up our own.
We could go over Nomad Feastmasters.
Oh gosh.
Hey, you know what? I think they did a great job on it. It's just not good for new players. Anyway. So today we are talking about Beasts of Chaos. I have both Camaron and a new guest, James, here, who knows it better than I do. So welcome.
I've played a game.
You've played a game or two, probably. So that's what we're doing today. I will say this is I start all of these Battletome reviews saying, obviously this is not a deep dive. Although we're not going to look at every war scroll, not all of that. Like, I recommend if you're looking for deep dive like reviews of the Battletomes, check out. I always say Facehammer's great, as well as Warhammer Weekly. Vince, Tom, and Tyler, those guys are great. And they do a great job recapping like all of the war scrolls and stuff. This is more just a kind of an overview, what we like, what we don't like, tier list type deal. So, if obviously this is very subjective when you get into tier listing. So if there's any of these that are wrong, obviously these might vary for your games. So we just kind of like to go over what we like in the new tomes. So. It's kind of, I just wanted to get that out of the way. Yeah. Go ahead, Cameron.
And I will disagree with everything you say.
Yes, clearly.
And I'll be a middleman.
He does like the ale guzzler. So, I mean, what can you say? All right. Okay, so tier list. This is just kind of a general gist of what I use for tiering some of these things. An S tier army is consistently going to go 5-0, whereas an F tier army is consistently not going to go 5-0. So this is just kind of what I use. So use this with a grain of salt. All right, so I'll go into the overview, and then I'll get your guys' takes on this, and let me know what I missed or what I'm wrong on. I think this is going through the book, I think this is a very A to high B tier army, depending on skill level. Obviously, if you're a very good player, I think you can easily go 5-0 with this at a GT. But I think in general, it is an A to high B tier army. I think this is a high ceiling skill level army that has a lot of options, and you can use it in many ways. And there's a lot of war scrolls that you can use. Depending on your skill set, I think that's going to determine where you sit as far as how many wins versus losses you get. So I think this is a high ceiling skill level army to master, right? The no summoning is obviously a bummer, and I think a lot of Beast players agree that that's a bummer. But I do think that this has its own way of winning without summoning, and I think you get a lot of good variety with this book,
I don't have to deal with summoning anymore. Whew.
Yeah, or anyone else. And then last, I do think that this is some Johnny, some Timmy, and then once we start seeing meta lists, I think there will be some spike to this as well. And again, just a recap of that. This comes from the Magic card game archetypes, right? Timmy is very in-your-face, smash 'em. It's a lot of what new players like to be is Timmy. A good Timmy army would be like Orcs, where it's really in-your-face, smashing everything, don't really care about anything else. Johnny...
Iron Jaws, you got to get there right now.
Yeah.
Smash right now.
Yeah. Smash and bash. That's a Timmy. Johnny is very putting lists together, putting combos together, really deep diving into the the subfactions and different combos and stuff like that. That's kind of a Johnny. And then a spike is very, I don't care what it is, I just want to win. A lot of, you can say meta copying lists, that type of thing. That's a kind of a spike. So that's kind of the archetypes. So that's my overview. So Cameron, we'll start with you. What did I miss? What are you thinking as far as the overview?
Of the overview of like what tier it is.
What tier? Is there anything I missed as far as just an overall encompassing idea of the book? Like, what did you generally feel about the book?
I think that your tiering is right, and we were discussing it earlier, where this is the ceiling cap for this book by itself is really high because there's just so many tricky things that you can do. There's so many different combos, so many different ways for you to be able to do and work together with your units that you can take on a lot of different strategies. But at the same time, if you make a mistake, all your mistakes are going to hurt really hard.
Yeah, agreed. James, what are your thoughts?
Yeah, I'm real close to that as well. But as I look at the current meta as it's developing with the Lone Star Open that happened this last weekend, the top armies are the armies that I saw were what hard counters to this army, which is strong shooting, because your key pieces are not great on their saves, and if you can peck out those key pieces, I mean, it's going to make this army disintegrate. So right now, I think the book overall is an A. I think the book in the current meta is like a B plus. I think most people play it at a 3-2. The good players will be at a 4-1. I think it'll be hard to 5-0, but I think it's possible.
Okay, yeah. I mean, that's kind of where I sit as well. And, obviously the shooting is going to be devastating with this army. That being said, there are some ways to get around that, right? The board edge summoning, which we'll get into, is, I think, a plus, and I think that will help for sure. But I do think if you're strong into shooting and you know what you're doing with the shooting army, this book will definitely struggle with that. Yeah, for sure. Yeah. Okay. All right. Let's go into the battle traits. Now, again, I didn't list everything here, like the Rituals of Ruin. I didn't list all of the options. We can talk about it real quick, but again, this was just a quick overview and kind of a tier list of what we thought of each one of them. So we'll go over these real quick. Beast Herd Ambush. I think this is awesome just from a flavor perspective. It's cool to think about, Beasts of Chaos coming in and ambushing you from all directions, right? That's kind of the flavor that they are. So that's a cool idea. I think, again, we were talking about earlier, I think this is S tier from an ambush perspective. If you know what you're doing, this is a C or D in the hands of a new player. This can get you in trouble if you don't know what you're doing from an ambush perspective. So I definitely think this needs to be mastered a little bit when you talk about like a null deployment or something like that. So.
Oh man, I agree with that. I was talking to my friend about this, and they're like, "All right, if a new player has this, they'll go like, all right, it's so cool. I could just put my entire army in reserve." And then what happens is you'll go against someone that will go first, choose to go first, and then they'll be able to spread out their units, and oh, now your entire army can only be put in this tiny corner in reserve because they were able to screen out the entire board edge.
Yep.
And it said, oh, your big advantage is now cost you the game turn one.
Yep, agreed.
Yeah, in my first game with this, I ended up only putting one unit in reserve, and that was just so I had Desecrate Their Lands as an option for my first battle tactic, because with a 9-inch deploy out, it's real easy to put something on an objective or at a piece of terrain to get that early battle tactic.
Yeah. Yep. That's good. Yep. I think people might over abuse the ambush perspective. I mean, it's cool, right? But you really got to know what you're doing with that, because it could definitely ruin the game for you real quick. So there's that. Masters of Wilderness. Oh, go ahead, Cameron.
Another one of my takeaways from it is I was reading it again earlier today, and the fact that you get a +1 charge the time that you go through. So
Yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
you have to be 9 inches away, but a lot of the units already have a
Have a
+1
+1.
charge.
Yep.
So now you're doing at a +2 charge straight off the bat, and there's a command trait to make it a 7-inch
7-inch
charge.
charge.
So
Yep.
if you plan for it, you can get something right in their face, almost guaranteed first turn.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. I just think you just have to know the army really well to do that, because there's going to be cases where you do that and you're like, oh, maybe that wasn't a great idea, right? And it's cool. I definitely like it from a flavor perspective. Masters of Wilderness, it's sure. I think on paper it looks good, but also I think a con of this as well is you don't have that piece on the board for like the hero phase. So like for casting spells or anything like that, you're not going to have it. You're going to have that extra command point, sure, but there's a possible con to having that.
Oh
Right.
man, I disagree partially. Like the fact that you could put your general up in the sky first turn and not get penalized is so great, especially when you get to the next part of the Rituals of Ruin.
Yeah, it
There's
is.
just so many things that you can keep them safe and not get penalized,
Sure,
which
I
is
just
stuff that I
think
see with like Stormcast.
sure,
Stuff like that.
and I think in general it's good, right? But I think there's certain circumstances where you want that key piece on the table for a spell or something of that nature, right? And depending on what you're using for your general, right? So I can see both. For the most part, this is a pro because you're not penalized for putting your hero in reserve. That is very true. And then Rituals of Ruin. I didn't put them all in here, but this is great. Like, I was reading this and I think I have this right. Right? You can have you can do each one of these, right? Because it says in addition. So
You get to pick one. So you can do your normal heroic action, and then you can pick one of those to do. You can't do
right.
all of them, but you can
Well,
pick one of them.
if you have four, right? If you have four heroes, you can do. You can so. How did I get 8? How do I get up to 8?
Oh yeah.
It was 4 plus you get. So if you go, here we go. Oh my gosh, there's you can do so many things with this. Now I know you can't use the same one, right? But
Right.
if
So
you
you
go
have to have 4 heroes.
right, if you have 4 heroes and you go second in the current GHB, you're gonna get 2 heroic actions with your general. So you're gonna get, or I guess a GC, we'll say, not necessarily a general, but a GC. So you're gonna get 2 right off the bat, going second, right, on your turn. Then you can get an additional one for your GC, and then and then for every other hero you have, you can do a Ritual of Ruin as well. So you can essentially get a ton of these on your turn if you go second. Like it's just crazy. It's crazy how many of these you can use. I thought when I first read it, I thought you could just use it in not in addition, but just as your heroic action. But the fact that you can do this in addition to your normal heroic action is crazy. So many options here, and you're gonna use all of these are decent, right?
Yeah, I think the wording is a bad choice on their part. I think so. Rituals of Ruin. It shouldn't have said heroic action. It should have just said like rituals, because these are always going to be your choice for your heroes, and then heroic actions are kind of their own thing.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's just them being lazy and trying to save on making new things.
Possibly.
Just make it easier for people to understand like when this is supposed to happen.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
these rituals themselves are just bonkers good.
They're bonkers
Like
good. They're bonkers
like
good.
they punish a bad opponent so much. Like moving a unit 2d6
Yeah.
off of an objective, or moving an exposed hero straight towards your hammer. I mean,
Oh yeah.
The
it's
D6
just
mortal
so good.
wounds. The D6 mortal wounds.
Mhm.
And the fact that you can do this while your stuff is in reserve. You can also, instead of hurting your hero if they're on the battlefield, you can choose a unit next to it to take the damage. Like these are so good. I think maybe the worst one is what was it? The 6-up ward. I know people are super. They love 6-up wards. I roll like crap all the time, so they never do anything for me. But the fact
I
that these are all
I
useful.
played Death. 6-up wars is amazing.
I know. And you get them all the time, so I get it. But these are good. These are the rituals of ruin and bonker's good. It definitely makes the army that much better. These are great. These are super good. S tier for sure.
James, which one's your favorite out of all of them?
Oh, the 2d6 move. It's
Oh,
just like being able to move, like especially in the current GC maps, where say you have a GC sitting on an objective, taking that objective, being able to move the GC off the objective so that you can put yours on it and take that objective is just, it's so good. Like,
Yeah.
and then you could do it from the edge of the board too. So you can say you want to move a screen out of the way, you just pop that guy, hit that target on the screen, move it like 2d6 to the right, and then drop your hammer where you want to go into the squishy's middle.
Yeah, that's super good. Yeah, that 2d6 is good. Cameron,
the
what's yours?
Blood Taunt one. I think that ability by itself is going to be the ability that's going to make and break so many games.
Yeah, that's the move, right? Yeah, good. These are good. And also Warping Curse. I still like the D6 Mortals. I know it's swingy, but in the current GHB, fantastic. Right.
Yeah, one of my favorite combos I've thought of is because I'm also a fan of the new Ungor Raiders, being able to shoot while off the board, is you could do the 2d6 move, take a GC away from people, and then just start shooting it off, just sniping heroes.
If only that shooting attack was decent. All right, moving on.
It's better than nothing.
Well, you're not gonna like my ranking for that then. All right, so command traits. What did I do here? So I didn't list them all. There's only one set of command traits. The Gits book had one for Trogs, one for Grots, but this was just you just get them for any Beast of the Chaos, which is great because there's no keyword restrictions, so we're not splitting up from Thunderscorn or anything like that. Any of your heroes can take any of these.
Not making it unnecessarily complicated.
Correct. And these were all good. Every single one of these was decent. When I know they're decent when it's hard to pick one of them, right? So my favorite was probably being able to do the Ritual of Ruin another time without being damaged for it. Also really good. I mean, that's just super good. And then what was the other one? The Reveler, which was what was that? That's the the 6-inch free movement thing. That was great too. I mean, movement, right? Movement wins games. Add 3 to the movement characters of friendly Beast of Chaos if they start normally within 6 inches. So you get extra movement for it, which is super good. Especially for this book, being able to move even further is always a plus. So
yeah, James, you played a game. Which one did you choose?
The one that I chose and I feel like is the best one in the book here is the Skullfray Gorehorn. And there's a nasty combo with that one. So if you put it on your Doom Bull, and you can set him like 4 inches behind a unit that's going to get charged. Then in the combat phase, you pop his command ability that lets him charge in the combat phase. So you keep him back. He charges in the combat phase. Then on a 2-up, the unit that just charged your unit fights last. And that's so good.
Yeah, and then they get the +1 to it, the attacks to all of the Brayherd, right?
Yep. Yeah. So you can do that with Bulgors, but they don't have the Brayherd, but Tzaangors are a great choice there. Gore.
Vestigors.
I mean, yeah.
Vestigors are fantastic.
That just making a unit fight last on will is just so good.
Yep. I like that one, but whenever I was making like a little folk army, I went straight for the Slakefray Reveler, the one where you can add 3-inch movement, because you don't need to be next to them. You can immediately have a piece of terrain because you start with a terrain to be able to give them, and the sooner you get into combat to be able to kill things, the better. And just being able to do a board wide +3-inch movement.
Yeah, I mean, we talk about it all the time, right? Movement wins games, and it does. Like anytime you can rely on a movement ability to snag an objective or something like that, it's always worth it, right? We always talk about movement. That's key piece in this game for sure.
Can turn a 6-inch charge into a 3-inch charge.
Yep, exactly. Yep. All right, good, good. Again, command traits A plus. I think these are all really good. Artifacts. Again, these aren't split up. These aren't keyword restricted. So again, awesome. Makes it a lot easier just to pick something. What did I pick? I said these were a B plus. I think most of these were pretty good. There was a couple of them where like, I don't know if I'd pick that. Some of them were better than the others. Oh, I said lots of 2-up activations. I think 3 out of the 6 of these were a 2-up activation. So, being me and rolling so poorly, I might not even get any of these to go off. So that's why I kind of lowered it a little bit, just because some of these won't even activate. So some of these are really good though. What did it do for axe? Ward rolls can't be used. Fantastic, especially in the current meta where everything's got a ward. I think that's fantastic. So that's probably my go-to, especially on something that hits like a Doom Bowl or something like that. I think that's pretty decent.
Man, I don't know. I don't know if I'd go with that one. Like, yeah, being able to not have to deal with ward rolls is great, but you only choose one weapon, and like the entire army is based off of having multiple things being able to hit. It's just, oh
I
no,
think
I
if
get to ignore ward when, like, you have something like on a 2-up, I give you strike last. Now the rest of my
yeah.
army can hit you.
Well, and I also put again the movement one, right? Obviously, the knowing eye. If you go second, you get that extra movement. I think that's also very decent. Um,
So
yeah, I mean, I think they have their options, but yeah, James, go ahead.
I made a mistake here. Apparently, I picked my artifact as my command trait. So my command trait was the Rotfrey Plague Pelt, which was 2-up. I do D3 mortal wounds on a unit at the start of the combat phase. And then my choice here was the Slither Rackhelm on that Doom Bull. And he's charging you.
Oh, I got you.
He charges you. Makes you fight last, and because he charged you, he does D3 mortal wounds. And then the command trait, he also does another D3 mortal wounds. And then when the Bullgors charge you, they do D3 mortal wounds. And then you take a chariot, a gore chariot, and he charges you and does D3 mortal wounds.
Yeah.
So,
Oh man,
Um,
that's
I
so
just-
many 2-ups just to punish you for getting close.
I just know rolling that one up, or rolling that one. I just know it feels so bad. So that's why it's like I want to go with those, but the fact that I have to roll that 2-up is just it's so problematic for me. But I mean, these are all good. I can see why you wouldn't take the ward rolls. I think in a specific army in a specific situation, I think it could be good. But maybe that's not the one you take. I do think these are all pretty decent and have their own benefits. But yeah,
the Slither Rackhelm is good all the time. Making something fight last will always be good.
Oh, yeah.
Being able to ignore a ward roll is only going to be good against certain armies.
What are your guys' thoughts on the cheap summoning?
Oh, I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know either.
Like,
I'm not sure. I think it was
you get
throw-in.
110 points for free.
Yeah, I mean it might be
that.
useful. I don't know.
It has its uses, or it can make you go last.
Yeah. Meh. I think it is what it is. It's okay.
Yeah. I think there's better choices.
I agree.
Would I take that or an Arcane Tome?
Yeah, good point. Yep, I'd still take an Arcane Tome.
Fight last is the bread and butter of this army. If they're not fighting first, they're getting disintegrated.
When we play, James, and you roll that one, I'm gonna laugh at you. All right, moving on. All right, spell lore. I thought these were pretty good. I thought the Brayherd lore was really good. Reading through all of them. Which one's it? Vicious Stranglethorns is super good. 5 casts, right? I think the issue here is there are a lot of short ranges. Now you can get away with that by dropping stuff in, right, from the ambush type thing, but but you don't
Yeah,
get
but you
to
don't
do
get
that.
that in the first turn.
Right, exactly. And I think a lot of these are real short ranges, and you gotta be real careful on when you use these. Um, that's why I picked Stranglethorns. It's an 18-inch range, and not being able to pile in. If anyone's played against Nurgle, knows that that is super good. So that's the one that I picked that I thought was super good for the Brayherd. What are your guys' thoughts?
Hmm.
I'm so for me, the Tendrils of Atrophy is just so good, and this lore and the endless spells to me just increase the value of the Tzaangor Shaman on disc, because that 16-inch move is going to be able to put spells where you need them to be, and that greatly increases the value of this spell lore. Because if he's not in the army and you've just got a foot slogging Brayherd Shaman, I don't think that this spell lore resonates that well. But you can take the command trait on your shaman that adds the battle round to his casting roll. So he's getting, starts out with a +1 and ends with a +5. Uh, so if you're really looking for your spells to go off and be impactful, I think that there's options in this book that really let you take advantage of it, and even with the short range.
Oh yeah, the tendrils of atrophy. Yeah, I
Yeah.
see that probably being probably the just looking over all these, probably the best one in that. Just because I go through and I fight. All right, every single time I fight a Seraphon player, they always curse me, and then I die. And I figure that the same way here. You have so many attacks that are normally 1 damage throughout the entire army, but now because you have so many attacks, now all the damage is just increased by 1, army wide against that one person.
Yeah.
How dare you get close to me?
Yep. It is also only melee attacks too, right? So you're not going to get this from the boulders or anything like that. So
Yep.
You have so many melee attacks, anyways.
yeah, I mean
Yeah.
it's mostly melee, but
My 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 gripe with this spell lore, the con, I think, is that because the Thunderscorn lore isn't so good, and the Brayherd lore is, like, I think your Dragon Ogre Shaggoth is such
yeah,
a mid-tier
yep,
caster now.
yep,
Like, you just don't find room for him because Dragon Ogres aren't great. He himself is okay, but it's just about that is just, a C type of material. So
yeah.
I don't know. The Thunderscorn lore, I'm looking at it and like, all right, it's good, but like that's high casting values, and like all of these I would love to have. However, it's tied to. Is there only one Thunderscorn wizard in the
I
entire
think
game?
yeah,
so. I think it's just the
yeah.
Shaggoth.
It's tied to such an expensive model.
Yeah.
It's not whose job isn't to be a spellcaster, yet all of his spellcasting stuff is pretty decent.
Yeah. Is Shaggoth a two caster?
No,
I
he's a
don't
one
think so. He's
caster.
a one
Yeah.
caster.
See, that makes this lore even worse. I
Yeah.
would maybe even move this to B minus, just because
You only have one delivered.
you only have one to do. These
Think
are all okay. I don't know. It
Like
when
I look at stuff like the hailstorm. It has a 21-inch range. It's only a casting value of
it's
6,
super good.
and you have movement, you have run rolls, you have
It's
charge
so
rolls.
good.
Like that's the old corn demon prince ability, but at 21 inches away. Like
Thanks for the
that
follow.
that can ruin someone just straight off the bat. And then there's stuff like the Raging Storm, where you just do 1 damage to everyone,
Yeah, and it's
and
board
like
white.
it's a casting value 8, which is pretty rough, but
I mean,
it's
it's good
so
for chip
good.
damage, maybe. I mean, I don't.
Do 1 damage to everybody. Good luck doing Inspiring Presence to
Yeah,
your
well, and then there's
8 Noblars.
and we'll get there. There's problems with the Shaggoth as well. I hate the fact that he's 10 wounds, but we'll get to that.
He's still a monster, I believe, too.
Is he really?
Yeah, I think he
Gosh,
is.
I did not see that. I didn't catch that. Having him be 10 wounds though is awful. And I guess if he's a monster, I guess it wouldn't matter anyway. But
Yeah, he's a monster.
Yeah. Okay. Well, there you go. All right, we'll move on to the subfactions. All of these were pretty good. I think some of them are obviously better, and I would probably. I mean, I guess the be able to teleport with dark walkers is good. I don't know. These are all pretty good. These are all decent. I think Gave Spawn or Gav Spawn or however you pronounce it.
All
I
right,
think
I want to know what your guys' opinions on the Gave spawn is.
so. I have this in my notes too, and I said the jury is still out on this. I'm not sure about the Murderite Chaos Spawns. I don't know. They look on paper. They look decent. Their shooting attack is actually not bad. Uh, they're what 10-inch movement, I think.
Yeah, 10-inch movement.
Like I think they're decent, and they fulfill your battle line slot, right? So I think they're decent. I don't know if it's meta breaking. I don't know if we're gonna see a ton of Gave Spawn or not, but I don't know. I think the jury's still out on that. Have you played any Morgurite Chaos Spawns, James?
I haven't, and that's because this unit, I struggle with it because I want to know what it does. I'm like, is it a hammer or is it an anvil? Is it my screening piece?
It's super fair.
It feels like it's trying to fit into a bunch of different slots. You can run and charge with it. It's going to have 8 attacks, but it's got a 5-up save. So it's going to explode.
It's mid-tier in everything. Like, it's not great at anything, but it's not bad at anything. But hey, it is the cheapest battle line option.
Is it really?
230 points for 3. The next one is 3 Ungors or 240.
Okay. I mean, yeah. I mean, if you took this, you'd have a lot of options for everything else, right? I'd love to know from people in chat, or if you guys watch this on YouTube later, in the comments. I'd love to know if people have had success with the chaos spawns, because I don't know. I'm right with you, James. I don't know what it's doing. It looks good on paper. I just don't know in reality how it's working.
If they changed one thing about them, I think they would be the best unit in the game, and that is just if they made their range attack a 10-inch attack.
What's the range right now?
It's 8 inches.
Okay.
Which means you can't drop them from reserve and hit anything.
Oh, yeah. It's a good point.
If they made it 10 inches, I just drop, I don't know, 9 of these guys and just start bombing things first turn. I think they would be amazing.
That might be.
I play them every game.
They probably did that on purpose.
Yeah.
I did say I know it's probably it's very subjective, but I like Warherd. I think the D3+3 returning back is extremely good. If anyone's played IDK with the stupid Reavers or whatever, or Thralls that continue to come back.
Heck, clan rats that come back.
Right, like it's obnoxious, right? And good luck taking those things away. It's super, and without bounty hunters, I think Warherd's my favorite, honestly.
Yeah, it also has a standout feature because, especially in the current season, you don't want your heroes taking those wounds from your Rituals of Ruin, and so
Yep.
being able to throw all those mortal wounds on your Ungor and then have your hero make everything immune to battle shock, and then bring all your Ungor back, it just it makes it so you don't have this massive overhead worry of doing all these mortal wounds to yourself.
Yeah,
that is such a great combo. What do you think about that?
Yeah, this is why we have James on here. I will say one just quick little thought. I think Quakefray is definitely, people are going to use it. I think it is the most fun subfaction. I think it's cool to take a bunch of Tzaangors and make them priests. Like, that's awesome. I don't know how many 5-0 lists are going to go with Quakefray,
right.
but
you get 3 or 4 Tzaangors. You just say no, you're not allowed to do any spells, and then you go, one has healing, one has curse, one has earth shatter, and you just start healing all your heroes every turn. You start throwing rocks every turn. I think it's fun.
Yeah, it's definitely the most fun, I think, for sure.
That one time you hear about it at a tournament where that list goes up against a Lumineth player, and he's like, "I just lost my whole army casting spells."
Oh, I can't remember. Can you ally in any like other factions to this group?
Yep, slaves, and we'll go over that.
Only slaves?
Only slaves.
Ah, darn. I really wanted to get what Infernal and Rapturous in here.
No,
Makes
can't,
oh,
none of
did
that.
you succeed a spell? No, you have to re-roll. You take a damage no matter what. Yeah.
I think that, well, and we'll get to the allies later, but I think there's some good allies that these guys have as well.
Yeah.
All right, let's go into grand strategies. I'm always meh on these. Protect the Hearthstone is sure. I guess that one's doable. That'd be the only one really. I can't remember Desecrate. Which one's that one? 2 more objectives, and those objectives are contested by any friendly prey. Sure, that's also doable, but for the most part, I don't know. I don't know. What do you guys think about this, especially in the current GHB? Would you take any of these?
So in my game, I took Protect the Hearthstone, and that's because the changes to the Hearthstone, it really makes it so your opponent has to dedicate something if they're going to take it, because you're going to put it in the corner of the board. You're never going to be by it, and so if they want to take their monster and run them all the way to the corner of the board to break your Hearthstone so you don't get your grand strategy, that's just a piece that's not on there. So, and I like it's just better than any of the other choices in the season for them currently.
Okay.
I don't. Desecrating Brayherd is also a good choice too, though. But I just like if you want to send your monster over there, your 400 to 500 point monster, to break my Hearthstone and spend 2 turns running across the board to do it, go ahead.
Yeah. Camaron?
Yeah, I could definitely see that. Just it's one of those just annoying things. You tell your opponent at the very beginning, you're like, ah, man. Now he knows he's going to have to dedicate something to it.
Yeah,
Yes.
and to James's point, there's no more range on the Hearthstone, right? It doesn't increase range; it's board wide now. So you literally put this in the corner as far as you can, and just be like, "All right, have fun. Go dedicate something to that, right?"
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I think that's probably the best one.
Out of all these, yeah.
Battle tactics. There's some good ones in here. Which one did I say?
A good portion of all of these battle tactics are actually really good.
Yeah, I agree, and that's how I marked them too. A lot of these are doable. Reduce the savagery 1 unit on the battlefield. If you kill them with, if you target them with the Rituals of Ruin trait, and they're destroyed, but they don't have to be destroyed by that trait or by that Rituals of Ruin battle trait.
God, it's so many of these are just like really, really good freebies.
Yes.
Like the Ritual Ruin trait. Okay, that's actually pretty good. Just don't do a hero that has 3 or less wounds on them.
Yep.
Boom. All right. That's
and then there's a lot of charge shenanigans you can do. I think one of them was like deal damage with mortal wounds on a charge. Which one was that? Right?
Oh yeah, the trample.
Oh, trample the mulch. Duh. That's probably could go up now that listening to James. There's a lot of ways you can do that. There's also what's funny about this one too. Trample the mulch. It doesn't say Beasts of Chaos, right? So you could technically ally in a Chaos Chariot for 95 points and still complete this battle tactic by charging into it. So it doesn't have to be a Beast of Chaos unit. It just says as long as you kill it on the charge of mortal wounds, right? So something to keep in note.
There's more things like even Aid of the Wilderness. You have a B here, but if there's just 2 pieces of terrain that are outside your territory that you can do it, that's just a free battle tactic you can do straight off in the beginning.
So, go ahead, James.
I was going to say my only complaint with these battle tactics is none of them are a turn 1. At least not easily a turn 1. And we lost ATO going into the season. And so now your choices are Desecrate and Cunning Maneuver. Cunning Maneuver means you have to have something on the table, typically, because wholly outside your territory with most battle plans is like the middle of the board.
Mm-hmm.
And So I wish there was a battle tactic in here that was a little more guaranteed turn one, because that's right now is the hardest turn for
Yeah.
battle tactics in the game.
Yeah, playing a couple games of this, that turn one is super difficult. I do like it though. I
All right,
like the fact.
I got your turn one right here.
All right, here we go, Cameron.
All right, so what you do is you do what is it, reduce to savagery.
Okay.
All right, you just need to hit. You kill something with ritual of ruin. You go ahead. You look on your opponent's board and like, man, those one unit of really easy to kill, low save. I don't know what it is, but that unit right there. You do your damaging one, and then you take your ungored raiders, and you're just like pop, pop, pop. Hopefully you kill it.
We're not banking on a Ungor Raiders shooting attack, are we? Because boy, I will whiff that so bad. Unless it's a guaranteed hit or something like that, I'm gonna fail it every time.
Oh, you say that, but I'm gonna bring my army of like 80 Ungor
Kevin,
raiders and just.
You have played me. I won't hit a single thing with those Ungor Raiders. All right, cool. Battle tactics. Some good ones, but I do agree with James. These are going to be tough turn one for sure. Core battalions? Question mark? Where'd they go? I don't know if they needed one because most of them are garbage anyway. But there's 0 core battalions in this book. I guess they just didn't. Whatever. Sure. I guess we're moving on.
Like every other book, you will never use the core battalion for this book.
Yeah. I mean, the most of them are garbage. I do agree. All right, so the most subjective part of the stream is the War Scroll tier list. All right, so this is what I got. I heard. I think Cameron. I think you were. Did you make some sort of sound when I said Bestigors earlier? Are you not a fan of Bestigors?
No, Bestigors are great.
Bestigors are fantastic. I think they are absolutely fantastic. Now, they are expensive, right? And they are 220 points. And then I started thinking, what else is 220 points? Well, Chaos Warriors are also 220 points. So
in a fight.
So I started comparing the two, and I think Bestigors are probably where they should be. I think. Whereas Chaos Warriors are going to be a lot more anvil, I think Bestigors are very good from a hammer perspective, and I think they're hand in hand 220 on both sides. So I do think Bestigors are fantastic. I'm glad I have a ton of them. I think I've got 50 of them. Colt, if you're listening to this, thank you. Yeah, so I think Bestigors are good, and then I saw some people like not liking the Great Bray Shaman. I don't know why. I think he's going to be in most Brayherd lists. Like, he is fantastic. Maybe I'm missing something. Does everyone else think that Great Bray Shaman is fantastic? Like an S tier going to be in most lists? Like,
so I think he's going to be in most lists, but I don't think it's because he's S tier. I think what would make him S tier is if he was a 2 cast or if he had pluses to his casting.
Okay.
I think he's just a solid caster. But I would like to caveat on the Bestigor moment, if I may.
Okay,
interject.
All right, here we go.
Don't worry,
yes.
I have some things too, so go ahead.
Okay,
Yeah,
okay.
so-
Well, I can change these on the fly, okay? I do have the power.
I think Bestigor are statted correctly. Maybe a little over, but
Okay.
it's harder because the turn 1 pressure, they don't offer any, like the turn 1 pressure is not there. They need to be turn 2 pressure.
Okay.
A plus, I would say they're an A, maybe a B.
Okay.
And that's just because I think there's some better options in this book for a hammer. That if you're looking at a hammer, because that's what we said, we looked at them versus Chaos Warriors. A Chaos Warrior unit is an anvil 100%, and it's one of the best anvils in the game. A Bestigor unit is a hammer, but is it the best hammer in the book? Is it one of the top 3 best hammers in the book? And I think that's where it drags it down, is you keep listing out where your hammers are in this book, and I keep looking at Bestigor and I keep moving it down and I keep moving it down.
Totally fair.
And so that's just my take on why I don't think Bestigor. I don't say they're not a good unit. I'm just looking at the rest of the book thinking I've got better choices.
Yeah, no, that's fair. You'll notice as I wrote this lists, all these tiers, there's so many options, right? And I say that multiple times, like shadowed by other options. So I can see it. I can see where best you take something other than Bestigors. I think if you're running Brayherd, you're gonna run a ton of those, and I think they're real good. And that +1 to rend on turn 2 makes these guys super dangerous. But I see all the points you make.
I see them just like the Chaos Warriors and those point values, only at turn 2 and above. Turn 1, I don't like them.
I'll
But
move
turn
them
2
to
and above, okay.
I'll move them to A minus. I'll definitely move them to A minus. I can see them going down a bit for sure.
I would also like to make a case here on Gores being A+ to S. Like
Wow. Okay. I'm
Gore-
listening.
Gores right now are one of the defining characteristic of my army list.
Okay.
If you take a 30 block of Gore, you give them shields. Their save characteristics is now 4.
Okay.
So you can make them a 3-up save. That's 30 wounds. It's got -1 rend, and you can use the Ritual of Ruin to make them immune to battle shock.
Okay.
That is a tar pit of monstrous proportions because you're going to be sitting there with it. It's going to have your Bray Shaman behind it doing the Ritual of Ruin to make them immune to battle shock. But you can also give them the Shaman that gives them +1 damage on a unit. I mean, it's just an anvil in the army. And also, if they charge, you fight last. In a 30-man block.
If you roll a 3-up, I'm
Oh
sorry.
my gosh.
I'm telling you right now.
That's
I will
still
roll.
real good.
I will roll that 1 or 2. I tell you right now, I will roll that 1 or 2, and I'll feel real bad. That being
the thing
said,
is,
that's just a
not game
bonus. Right, that's just a bonus. 100%.
Yeah.
I can move these up to at least A minus for sure.
I don't agree with the S. Like, the 30 stack of Gores and all herd with no battle shock, I think is good.
Yeah.
But I don't think
It may not be S, but it is.
330 points is still steep for 30 wounds at a 4-up.
I think it's the best anvil we have in the game. Like you set a cockatrice behind this, and it never moves off a point ever.
All right,
Yeah.
so it's 400 and what? 445 points of this is never going to be leaving.
Yeah, that's
Okay,
not bad.
I can
That's
see
a
that.
Gargant. You're going to do that with a Gargant too.
Oh wait, you got to put a hero behind it. So let's put a shaman behind them.
Yep.
And so it's about 500 to 600 points of you got to do some tactical thinking to kill this thing.
Yeah.
I think maybe B was too low. I'll move this up to like A minus. I can see.
Okay.
I can definitely see the intrigue for Gores. I guess I didn't really put. I was running them with the pair instead of the shield, and maybe that is the wrong choice. I think maybe running them with the shield is a better choice than having that extra attack.
You have other things to kill.
Yeah.
Right. That's true. That's fair. And you're going to use
Yeah.
these as mostly chaff, right? So you don't really care if they're doing damage. So I guess that's a good point.
Right.
That's a good point.
They can do damage, especially like turn 4 with -2 Ren. Or you get -3 Ren with a Chaos Gargant, but obviously then we're just stacking on the buffs. It's just, I think they're A tier. There's just so much that you can bring with them.
Excuse me, dogs, if you hear them in the background. The wife just got home. So I don't want to spend too much time on this, even though we've kind of talked about all of them. But I do think Ungors are a sleeper pick.
Yeah, Ungor Raiders, 100%.
No.
Those
I didn't
things are
say
amazing.
no. Ungors minus the Raiders part, which we'll get to in a second. But I do think
What
Ungors.
is your hate?
I do think Ungors. If anyone's played a bunch of Furies, and this is coming back from me playing, test playing Legion of the First Prince, because that was also another army I played a lot of, with a bunch of Furies. These are a nightmare. These are an absolute nightmare to get rid of. So I think Ungors are a sleeper pick, especially if you go heavy into them.
I can see where you're coming with that, but I have two problems.
Go for it.
One of these, okay, I guess I have one main problem and then a second problem. So the one main problem is it's a 7-inch move.
Yep.
And they don't get run and charge. Fury's
Correct.
got a 12-inch move. They still didn't get run and charge, but 12-inch move is fantastic.
Yeah,
7 inches
yeah.
is good, but I feel like
There are ways to give them
it's
more movement. There are ways.
yes, you can get the +3, so then they're 10,
Yep.
which is nice. And then the second problem is they don't have fly.
Yeah. Okay. Fair. Totally
Which
fair.
is really what they need to, as
Snag
a
other
unit at this
objectives.
cost, to hit, use that extra movement to jump across behind the unit that they just hit and sit on an objective.
So, I will say I agree with you. If we weren't in this current GHB season, most of the GHB objectives are right in the middle, or they're very close to each other. There's very few that are very far away. So I still think these guys are pretty good in this GHB. I could probably move them down a little bit, but I think in this GHB these guys are going to be.
I love
a
them just for
nightmare.
the sheer screen potential that they have.
Yeah.
Yep, exactly. Yeah, that's another good point.
80-point battle line, that 7 inches with a d6 plus 1 run.
Well, I think
the
I think
wifey
you
is
include-
bombing the stream.
I think you include them in every list. Every list that I've got, and it's for me though, the value in them in all herd is that they're going to take all the mortal wounds from my heroes. So I'm taking those all day. So I definitely think they have value. I don't know if they're necessarily getting the use out of that, but as a chaff with some movement like that, I think they're really good.
All right, then let's really quickly. I just want to quickly talk because we already spent a lot of time on the Brayherds, but let's quickly talk about the Tzaangor Raiders. Okay, and now they're bad. They're bad. Sorry, they're just not good. I'm sorry.
Right.
I know you want to say this stupid shooting hidden volley thing is good, but it's not good, Cameron. It's not.
Okay, all right. What you don't understand, it's just, all right, for 115 points, one, they can be a battle line if you take Ungors, which we've already
Okay.
discussed. You're going to be
Okay.
taking Ungors no matter what.
Okay.
All right, and its first turn, or whatever turn you want this on, well, first or second turn, it is 42 attacks from anywhere up on the board at 4 up, no rend, 1 damage. That is
Okay.
enough to kill a sorcerer or a very cheap hero in the backline to be able to hit things that don't have that high of save. You can do it in the hero phase, no, not the hero, the movement phase, which means that they don't get all-out attack.
Sure.
And you get it for every single Tzaangor Raider unit you have. And then
Are
once you're
they-
done shooting, at the end of the movement, you put it down on the field, and then you shoot again, and you're in your shooting phase.
Yeah. That I can see. Okay, so there is an FAQ here, right? Because I
Okay.
don't understand some of this. When you pick a point, does that now mean? And I saw this on. And I'm kind of taking this from Vince on Warhammer Weekly because he mentioned this as well, and I still don't know what the right answer is. If you pick a point on the edge, is that shooting attack now 12 inches because of that range where you pick that point, or is it you pick the point and you literally can shoot the closest model?
I would assume, I can see where the FAQ is. I would assume 12 inches.
I would
But-
assume too, but like right now, I don't see. You could make the argument on either one, right? Because it doesn't say anything.
Even if you take the worst of the two, where it's just 12 inches, I still think they have some play.
Okay.
Are you going to take an only Tzaangor Raider army? No.
All right, you
not
know
at
what? I will bump this to a B minus.
Because
I'll
I
give you
can
that.
see you using that for, did you... I'm going to go ahead and shoot your, let's see, Battle Mage that you have. That's going to be your buffer piece. I'm just going to shoot him first turn. And now 21 attacks at 4 up against your, 5 up save? That's probably going to kill it. Or
Yeah.
at least damage it. And boom, that's a free shot I have. And I killed one of your major support pieces.
Yeah, I sure, I see it. I think also in this, because it's still considered a shooting attack, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I still think in this GHB, it's not fantastic, right? It's okay.
Well, you got to use your Ritual of Ruin to move the hero out.
Exactly. You take that 2d6
True.
movement.
Okay.
Now I can shoot
Okay.
you no matter
Yeah,
what.
yeah. Okay. All right. I can see it. I can see it for sure. That's a good point. It's a good point.
All right. I've said my piece on the Ungord Raiders.
Yes. You and your Tzaangor Raiders. All right. Rest of the Brayherd. I haven't heard anyone talk about Tzaangors, and I look at their war scroll and I'm like, are these guys not good, or what's the downside? Is it just because they're expensive?
It's 5 models. Like, they're not
14-inch
amazing.
range. I mean,
Yeah.
4 up, 2 wounds. I mean, they hit pretty well. I don't know. I think they were pretty good.
They're not. They aren't bad. Not
And
at
then
all.
you take the first 2 wounds, are negated, and then if any of them do run on a 2 up, they don't run. Like I don't know. I think they're pretty good. I don't know. Maybe I'm crazy. I don't know.
Yeah, I think with these guys, we'll kind of roll into the same realm as what are they
Festivals?
trying to accomplish? Yeah, I'm kind of like, what are you trying to accomplish with this? Like, are you trying to be my hammer? It looks to me like it's trying to be a skirmish piece, but
They're great harassers,
yeah,
and
Yeah.
that's it.
I mean, you can
and
get these guys 14-inch move, right? And then you can almost get them to a 17-inch move with that was it that trait, that artifact or whatever. These guys can get behind the lines and do some damage.
yeah, but if you
Um,
throw something that far up because their shooting's only 8 inches, they're going to be susceptible to getting charged. And
Yeah.
so, like, if their shooting attack was like 14 inches, but they do, like, everything in this book is under 8 because they don't want you to just drop in
I
from
know.
the side of the board and
Yep.
shoot everything.
Yep.
But if their shooting attack was 12 inches, then you at least got, that much room for a charge and a redeploy for after a movement. And I think that makes more of a skirmish unit because you move the piece up, you shoot at 12 inches, they come towards you, you redeploy back further. Now you've pulled that unit the direction you want it to go with your skirmish piece, which is what that piece is supposed to do.
Fair. Yeah, man. The amount of times you bring up the 2d6 movement thing too, right?
It's like it's good or something.
Yeah, it's what an insane ritual of ruin. That's crazy. Anything else we want to go over on this list? That was the one that I wanted to talk about.
I like the Tzaangor Chariot just
Yep.
because it gives me another source of mortal wounds on the charge.
Yep.
But it's cheap,
Yep.
and 3 rounds to 4 rounds of mortal wounds on a charge is pretty good.
Yep. And it completes your battle tactic, essentially. So.
Another thing I have to say is the Tzaangor Fiend Bloods. Man, they got a glow up. They're going through. Who knew? In order to make Slaanesh better, you had to get another book out there.
Yeah. Hopefully that's good news to come because yikes, man. Let me tell you. Although I will say in this new GHB, I think they got some room to play. So.
Yeah.
All right. Warherd. This is probably my favorite, other than best scores. I like the best scores, but I think Warherd. I think you're going to see a lot of Warherd, a lot of Doom Bulls, a lot of Bulgors. These are good. All of these guys are good. I really got nothing else to say other than these are all good. I think Bulgars are
Gorgon is
scary.
now officially like my favorite monster.
Yeah.
Just because being able to eat 3 models and just heal from it. Oh, it's so good. I love it.
Yep.
Yeah, I know there's other good things, but tasty snacks every single time I fight.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And against the Horde army, woof, they're just going to be eating models. Do you get to pick them too?
I believe.
Oh, you do? Oh my
Yeah.
god, it's so good.
So
It's so
so
good.
you run in. There's like a string in front. You
Yep.
just eat the 3 in the
Yep.
middle.
Oh,
Yeah.
what's that? Oh, banner? Yummy. Oh, what is
Yeah.
that? Oh, your champion? Yummy.
Oh, you got that Hakatos Mortek guard? Oh, he's gone now. Yeah, these are all good. These are all good. I could probably move Tzaangor up to A if he's in the priest thing. I think that's super good as well.
Yeah, it's contingent on that. Once he gets priest buff, he's in A.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, only in
Okay.
priest mode though.
Yeah.
Yep, I agree.
The
I
Doom
think
Bull
these-
is like a B, but once he gets the command traits and the artifacts, I think he takes to them really well.
Yep,
Just
agreed.
be-
Is there any other priest in this book besides the maybe Tzaangor?
I don't
No.
think so.
No, there's not. Because they...
Ooh, because
I
I
don't
could
know.
definitely see Tzaangor using curse, being able to hit things, and
Yeah.
then all of the attacks from
Yep.
from all your Brayherds and all that,
Yeah.
just annihilating things.
Yeah, that's actually really good. But you have to go into Quake Fray though, right? So it's like, yeah. I mean, I can see it. I can see that. I think Tzaangor's definitely an A when you give him the priest thing. Again, these are all super good.
I think
I was gonna say I do think they are. I mean, they're definitely killable. They're not great on saves, right? Like they will go down quick.
not at all.
I think if we see Bulgors being the shineouts here, I think the Doom Bull might move up to an A, just because of his command ability to let them charge in the combat phase.
Yeah.
So this army being able to circumvent Unleash Hell is very big, because those bulls will get shot off the board very fast.
Yep. Agreed.
Because it's
100%.
what 195. The Bulgors are 195, 4 wounds at 5-up save. Like, whew, that's not a high save at all.
Yeah, they will go down for sure, but they do a lot of damage. I mean, there's a lot of screens you have too in this army, right? A lot of cheap screens.
Yeah. That's why you don't want them to die on the charge.
All right, let's get to the worst part of the book. Which, you know, it's so funny. Everyone spammed Dragon Ogres, and now they are just not as good. I think we will see less and less of the Dragon Ogre meta, I guess I should say.
Oh, I want to love the Dragon Ogre so much.
Me too.
Oh, I want to love it so much. I want to see the supposed big scary monster of the Dragon Ogre Shoggoth, and I want them just to remake the model, make him 2 to 3 times bigger. I don't care. Put him up like 100 points, and then just make him an absolute monster.
Yeah.
And I want the Dragon Ogre Shoggoth to be a centerpiece model.
Yeah. He's just not that right now. He's just not. He's
not at all.
He's just not good.
There's such a good spell lore. He's what, 275 points for 10 wounds.
For 10 wounds, you don't get cover. You don't get any of that. You can't hide
have
it now.
A 4-up save.
It's just he's not good. He's just not good.
Getting shot off the board turn 1.
Yep, exactly. And then there goes your good spellcaster, right? Like the one that's got all the good spells, right? He's only a 1 caster too. I thought he might have been a 2. No, he's just not. I just wouldn't take him. I don't think I would take Dragon Ogres out of all the other options that I have in the book. I'm just not taking them.
I want to take it.
I do
it's
too.
Just
yeah, not here for me. Not here.
All right, we'll move on from that. That was easy. Tzaangors are Tzaangors, I guess. I don't think they didn't get a glow up at all, right? They're the same.
They went up points.
The Tzaangor Enlightened did. I don't know. Did the regular Tzaangors go up in points?
I can't remember, but here, actually, I think I have all the stuff right here.
Yeah, poor Dragon Ogres. Yep, I agree. Totally agree.
The thing is, like, Tzaangor Shaman in this is so good. He's a must-have.
So the Tzaangor Enlightened went up 70 points.
Yeah.
The Enlightened on Disc went up 30 points. The Tzaangor Shaman went down 20 points.
Yeah, most of those small ones with the new GHB, they went down.
And the Skyfires went up 30 points.
What about the regular Tzaangor? Did they go up?
They went down 5 points.
Okay.
Yeah, I think B on them is probably a mistake. I think they're an A. I think they're the best hammer in this book, honestly, in my opinion.
Normal Tzaangors?
Normal Tzaangors, because you're getting that +1 rend. They went down 5 points. They can run and charge. They have a 5-up or a 4-up ward or a 4-up save. And so if you run them with the Tzaangor Shaman, they're going to have +1 damage on a unit. So that extra rent, all those attacks, extra damage, running and charging. They're fast. They're my standout. I love these guys.
Are not a 4-up save. They're a 5-up save.
Oh,
but they get the 6-up ward.
Yeah, they got a 6-up ward. The 5-up, but I mean, so there's I look at these as 2 types of hammers, right? So I've got my Bulgors that are going to be my high rend shredder for like that Vampire Lord on Zombie Dragon, or the Maw Crusher with the 3-up, or the Kragnos or something like that. You know, the Bulgors are just going to shred him. But everything else that's at that 4-up or that 5-up save, the Tzaangors are going to do a lot of work on.
Are you running them as a pair? Like a pair of Savage Blades? Is that the kit you're running?
No, I run them with the shields, give them the 6-up.
I don't know, man. I still think there's...
6-up ward was great. Just because you suck at rolling.
Well, that's another reason why I don't want to take up the 4-up. I just don't want the 4-up.
If you're taking only 10 of them, it's not worth the 6-up ward. You want to take the pairs. But I take 20, and when you're running 20 models or 30 models of them, the 6-up ward has much more effect on the overall health of the arm of the unit.
Yeah, because that's a lot. That's a lot of wounds. Because what, 340 points for 40 wounds at a 5-up, 6-up, and you can bring back models with the shaman. You can. They have so many attacks. All of it with rend now. Yeah, I can see it.
I still
And
think I'd take. I'll make I'll bring him to B plus. I still think I would take Bestigors over these guys though. I don't know.
Well, the thing is, like, you got to remember that 8 of them. So, like in a 20-man, 8 of them are going to have the Savage Great Blade, which is 2 rend on turn 2.
Yeah.
So they're 2 rend, 2 damage flat, where the Bestigor are only 1 damage flat.
Yeah, but these are on 4-up hit to hit, and that's what kills me. I hate the 4-up to hit.
Yeah, but you can get that +1. You can make them better.
Yeah, but I can also get a +1 on a Bestigor too. Yeah, I'll bring them up a little bit. I still they're okay. I can see your point for them. I don't know if I would. I don't know if I'd run Tzaangors. Plus Brayherd, have a couple synergies here and there.
The running and charging is the biggest piece.
Yeah, that's a good point. The running and charging is really good.
I mean, because you give them the +3 move because they have Brayherd. So now they're moving 9 inches, guarantee the 6, moving 15 inches, running and charging.
Yeah, I definitely see it. For me, I think I'm taking Bestigors over these guys. Cameron, you have any thoughts on Tzaangors?
If they were battle line, I think I would take them over Bestigors, but I think they're the same for me for Bestigors. They're a lot cheaper because they're 50 points cheaper for the same amount of wounds, and they get that 6-up ward. They have a potentially more attacks. It's just that they have that 4-up. I think the 4-up is the only thing that penalizes them, but that's it.
Yeah,
they're good no matter what.
I think they're your all-out attack target. Just yeah. I think these guys, they turn and burn.
Let's see. And aren't they on 32 mil bases?
Yeah.
Yes,
so
yeah.
I take them and the Bulgors in a Galatian Veterans.
Yeah, I think they're only good in Galatian Veterans.
Yeah. You need all of them in.
Are Bestigors 25 or 32?
They're 32 also.
They are also 32, yeah.
I think I take Bestigors for one reason and one reason only. I don't have to figure out what model does which every single time.
I mean, that is fair. That is super fair. I wanted to know who was there.
There's 8 unique models in every single Tzaangor, and that annoys me.
So the other thing that the Bestigors have too that is decent, right? Is they're 2-inch reach.
Oh, they have 2-inch reach? Oh,
Yeah.
Bestigors. All right, they win.
I mean, I know you can put these.
Yeah, they did change that.
Yeah, I know you can put these in the new GV thing, the new battalion, to get them to attack twice or attack 2 back. But Bestigors for the 2-inch range, pretty good. It's pretty good. All right, let's get to the other guys. Let's get to the cockatrice, right? Let's talk about him for a minute. This thing is so broken. It will absolutely be nerfed. This thing's going up. What, another 120 points? I don't know, man. This thing is crazy, stupid good. This thing will be in every Slaves to Darkness army that we see. Yeah. That's in the meta right now.
I think we were talking about this before the show, and it was just, all right, you just take 2 cockatrices, and then you take a 30-pack of Nurgle Chaos Warriors, and then you just bubble wrap Chaos.
Good luck.
You'll never kill them.
You'll never kill them. You will, if they're Nurgle-based Chaos Warriors, and you put 2 cockatrices behind them, you will never remove that unit. You will not remove it. You're just not going to.
Unless you're going to be shooting it off the board, that is the only way that you can kill that thing.
Do you know how much firepower you need to put into that whole little ball of units? It's going to be nuts, dude. The cockatrice is insane. They really needed to change this to, instead of the 6-inch range, they needed to do this in combat.
Oh, yeah.
If this was in combat, this would be
I thought it was
way
3-inch range.
better. Yeah. It's insanity. This cockatrice, man. hopefully you guys are getting all your cockatrices now because they're gonna be gone everywhere. Like, good luck trying to find these. They're
I
crazy.
got mine.
How many of these do you have?
I just have one.
It's time to get another.
Yeah, for real.
It's because when I'm looking at them, I'm only having like one in my BOC list. But then I'm also like putting them in Nurgle, putting them in slaves. You know,
Oh yeah. Right.
the hard part with slaves is their units are so expensive in that elite category.
This is 100 and what? 105, 110
oh,
points.
Yeah,
Yeah,
they went
yeah.
down points.
So nuts, dude.
Yeah.
I mean, their one ability is all you need. Like, they're just super good, man. I think these will get the nerf. I think everyone knows they're gonna get the nerf. Especially how egregious
Shooting
these
will
are.
wipe them off the board real
Yeah.
quick.
True.
Only have a
true.
6-up save.
True. Yeah.
Which is why
mean,
you take those Tzaangor Raiders.
There will always be a unit from here on out on every episode of TTT. Cameron will pick out a unit that is like the worst unit in the book and be like, "No, this thing is fantastic."
I don't know what you're talking about. Worst unit in the book.
Okay, they're not the
made
worst.
Very good points.
The-
of why.
No, you did. And honestly, I do see them being a lot better than what I ranked them for sure.
Thank you. That's all
Yes.
I ask.
Anything else on the other Warscrolls? The other one I had was Razor Gores. I think these could be pretty egregious if someone spammed a bunch of these. They're so cheap. I don't know. I just thought out there. Maybe they're not A. Maybe that's too crazy.
That's a little bit too ridiculous.
It might be.
It's 65 points for a 4-wound model at a 5-up save.
Yeah,
And-
don't get me wrong. They're not by themselves. But I think if you spam these things,
And like, I'm just thinking of it. All right, they had this heal ability. That's what they're going to heal the 1 damage that they take that isn't going to kill them. They only have 4 wounds. If they take damage, they're going to die.
if you pair them with Ungors, right, and you get the double attacks, that's 8 attacks, 4 3s on turn 2 -1, 2 damage. I don't know, man. If you think about it and you spam the hell out of these things, and you pair them with Ungors, I think there's play there. Maybe okay. I will move them down to a B. I see that, but there might not be an A. But I think these guys can be egregious if you spam them.
What do you think?
What can you get, like 14 of them in 1,000 points?
That's a lot. That's a lot on 8, potentially 8 attacks.
So you potentially
4
can
3s.
have like what, 30, almost 30 Razor Gores in an army with 1 hero. It feels
It's
like
memey. It's super memey.
Yeah,
Don't
it
get me
feels-
wrong. It's super memey.
it feels like playing Bone Splitters again with Big
Stabas.
Stabas spam.
Yep.
Yeah,
So
except Big Stabas at least did something when they died.
Yeah.
I will say, maybe I'm also just I'm having PTSD from LVO when I played Oops All freaking Beasts of Nurgle and it was miserable. So
All right,
maybe
yeah, but Beasts of Nurgles at least did something, even if they
Yeah.
ran away.
I think Razor Gores can do something. I think they're not.
You know what I see? You know what I see? I see, let's see, Tzaangor Raiders killing at least 2 every
Okay.
turn. I see,
All right.
I see you play 1 Sylvaneth player who plays a war song and kills all 30 of your Razor Gores first turn.
All right. Well, we're moving on. Chimera. Sure, these are okay. These are okay.
I love the Chimera before the points, before this.
Yeah.
But I think he went down a good bit. Like, all of his abilities just went down.
Yep.
He's now constant, but
He's got a lot of attacks. And again, if you get him if you get him to turn 2, he's okay.
The biggest loss I think with the Chimera for me was he lost his plus to charge. Like he used to be in the old book, you could drop him in from that ambush or summon him in from 9 inches away and get a decent chance of getting a charge off with him.
for me, the big thing was they lost the D6 mortal wounds.
I do remember a game that Erica played against Matt, and was it you, Cameron?
It might have been against me.
I think it was
because
you
Chimera's
and
amazing.
Matt. It was a doubles tournament. It It was
Yeah.
Erica and Zach versus you two, and I guess Matt did 2 turns in a row where he got.
We had 3 chimeras and just 3d6 mortal wounds every single turn for free. Didn't need to do anything.
Well, I know, but and Eric was playing giants, and I think Matt scored like 6s on those in 2 turns or something, and did a massive amount of damage. Yeah.
So
Swingy, but
on this slide, me and Cameron talked before.
Okay, here we
There's
go.
a
It's
there's a
always
B
the
minus.
Gargants.
Yeah.
The Chaos Gargant is amazing. Now,
This needs to be changed.
Sell me.
In Beasts of Chaos, he isn't that good because you have Rend everywhere. But ally him into Slaves, ally him into Nurgle, Slanesh, Khorne. He's a walking purple sun that eats models, pulls them out of coherency. Like
For 140 points.
For 140 points, this is probably the best ally in all of the Chaos books.
Minus the cockatrice.
I think you take them both. I think you take them both.
Why not both?
I guess you could.
Like this guy sitting behind Chaos Warriors. I mean,
And a cockroach's pet right next to it.
Yeah.
Not only are you never going to be able to kill those Chaos Warriors are going to kill you twice as fast.
I'm like looking at it.
12 wounds. He's 8-inch move. He's a walking purple sun that eats stuff. His attacks aren't terrible.
He doesn't get many of them.
No, but
if you're like me, you're gonna miss the headbutt and the mighty kick. You're gonna miss that every time.
He's there to give -1 saves to being there.
Sure.
And in a Slaves of Darkness army, -1 Rend is gold. In a Nurgle army, -1 Rend is gold.
Okay.
So this guy is like probably like A+S in any other army.
Okay. Sure.
B- tier, A+S if you ally.
Yeah, because the thing is, like, beasts have so much Rend. Like, we get Rend from everywhere. So for us, it doesn't mean anything.
Right,
for everybody else, this is a gold mine.
I mean, for 140 points, I agree with you. It's super cheap for what it is. So I do agree with that. I just think in this book, you're going to take other options, right? It's just shadowed by so many other things, right?
Yeah, your Bulgors don't need -4 Rend.
Yeah,
I'm
no,
sorry.
for real.
Though it will be fun. They do not need it.
I mean, this is a quick slide. Hearthstone, great. It's even better than what it was before. Board wide, it's fantastic. There's really no...
you don't get -1 Rend first turn.
Sure,
right.
Yeah.
Next.
That's the downside, but I mean, the fact that this is board wide is insanity to me. I thought it was decent even when it had the increasing range. This is fine. It's fine.
Now you stick it in a corner so you can get your grand strategy, and your opponent cries.
Yeah. Nothing really else to say about the Hearthstone. James, anything else?
Nope, I love it.
Yeah, it's good. All the endless spells are great. I mean, these are all great. I think the only reason I don't like the Taurus is because it's expensive. It's pretty expensive. I would probably take the other 2 before that.
Okay, that Dire Flock
is fantastic.
Is amazing.
For 40 points, mind you. For 40 points, this stupid thing is.
All of them are freaking fantastic.
Yes, I do
it's
agree.
just the Wildfire Taurus. I think is an A, merely because it's gone down. It used to be 100 points, so it's gone down 10 points. But the key here is it doesn't affect Beasts of Chaos units anymore.
Sure.
So it used to be it affected everybody within 3 inches. So now, like I said, what's this army love to do? Make everybody else fight last. This is just another method. So I got my Doom Bull making you fight last. I got my Gore making you fight last. Now I got my Endless Spell. How many ones are you going to roll, Joel? How many ones?
Cameron knows. I can roll a lot of ones. If there was an army that came out that specifically just switched everything besides rolling 6s, you just roll once, I'd play that. I'd be amazing. I roll a lot of ones.
I still think the best one is the Dire Flock. For 40 points, I have a far range to be able to make so you cannot rally, you cannot inspiring presence, and give the fear of the great stone, the herd stone. That do you want to redeploy? Oh, guess what? There's a chance that you will get nothing.
Yeah.
Absolutely nothing.
Yeah. And
you have
then
to spend the point,
and
you
it's a
won't know
5
until
up.
after.
It's a 5 up cast. Super cheap.
Yeah.
You're most likely getting this off, and it's extremely good. Like, I
I
know.
also like I take in my current list, I take the Dredgehorn and the Taurus, and so not only is my 30 block of gore have a cockatrice sitting behind him, but he's also got this
Flies on the-
Direhorn sitting in the middle of him too.
Yeah.
So now you only hit on 6 and you're -1 to wound. It's just, it makes my block of gore a tar pit from hell.
Yeah, no, agreed. I think these are all super good, and I would.
And take all 3 of them is only 140 points.
Yeah, that's pretty great. Now, you don't have a whole lot of casting support behind that, but yes.
What are you
yes.
talking about? I have a Dragon Ogre.
Well,
Okay, all right.
the command trait on, so the thing is with that, your Tzaangor Shaman, he has a once per game ability where he can cast a second spell at
Yeah.
+3.
Yeah, +3. Yeah.
So he's giving you some consistency.
I almost
And
would take just him just to get one of these off. To be honest.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Well, you take him, and then you also make him your general. Give him the command trait to add the casting round to his cast.
Oh gosh.
He's casting spells.
Yeah.
He's gonna have. And then
Yeah.
give him Arcane Tome. So now he's casting 3 spells at one time per game, and then normally 2.
Yeah,
All of them at
100%.
pluses. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Let's talk about some allies. Now, I didn't put all the allies in here, right? I didn't put the entire Slaves of Darkness book, but I put the ones that would be relevant. I think some of these are actually pretty good. Now, I know me and Cameron probably have a little bit of a love-hate with Archeon, right? I think he's fantastic. I think he's a great beatstick. I know he's expensive. I get that he's expensive, but he is at this point, especially with seeing him at LVO so much, at this point, it's something that your opponent has to deal with, right? Which gives you a lot of I know you. He's expensive. There's no denying that. But he also has a lot of utility. Knowing who goes in the next
Well, you
round
can't
is
bring
super
Archaon into a Beasts of Chaos list, but you could put Beasts of Chaos into an Archaon list.
I think he has War Master. Does he not have War Master for Beasts of Chaos?
Does he?
good. Oh, you know what? Maybe he can't. I thought he could. Can he not?
Because he can't ally because he's over the 400 points. So he would have to have War Master for.
Oh, you're so
Beasts of
right.
Chaos.
I think you're right. So this was a mistake on my part. So yeah, I don't think you're right. I don't think he has Beast of Chaos.
Nope, not for Beasts of Chaos. So
Okay.
get that out of here.
Yeah,
I don't need to talk
that
about
one's,
it.
Not even
that is
Go on to
fine.
the next one.
Yeah,
Bellicor's
Bellicor,
what, 360? We could take him.
Bellicor's
I
good.
wouldn't.
He's not
yeah.
great. He's hold on, I'm just gonna do can't use. Bad.
The thing is, like, Bellicor, when this army was a control army, when it was a super spike army with the summoning and board control, Bellicor was a great addition. Now it's a very Johnny army. It's just, I don't see it.
You know what you do instead of Dark Master? You just don't put things on the board. It's just,
Yeah.
do I want my opponent to not be able to use that unit this turn? Okay, I just don't give him a target.
Wait till
Well,
turn 2 when I have
not
Ren.
all the armies. So
Yeah.
this is specifically allying Bellicor into beasts, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So there's gonna be certain armies that can do that, sure, but I still think Dark Master can literally win you a game just by preventing them doing anything with that one unit they want to. Oh, I want to go take this objective. Well, now you can't because I just
But
Dark
there's
Mastered
other
it.
things. There's other things you can like. Don't get me wrong. Bellicor can be useful in the army. I can see it.
Yes,
It's just we have tools by ourselves to be able to do it.
sure.
What's the best way to get someone to not be able to get to me? I 2d6 move them without opposite
Sure,
direction.
that's a good point. That's a very good point.
I throw my cockatrice at them, make them
Okay,
only hit on
alright.
6s.
Well, yeah, until it gets freaking nerfed to like 300 points.
And you know what?
But
I can do both of those options with less points.
Yep.
sure. That's a good point. Once again, that 2d6 movement comes into play. It's just so good. The Eternus I put on there, he could be annoying, but you're not gonna put him in there.
You know, it's
I
also annoying some Doombles.
Sure. All these are real bad. Chaos Knights.
I want to
can
laugh
move,
at my
but-
opponent for taking a Gaunt Summoner.
He does have the whole Slaves of Darkness, but you can only cast 2 spells from that. So
The thing with the Gaunt Summoner, why he's probably not D, he's probably a C, maybe even a B in this list, and this is only very circumstantial, is you can give him Tunnel Master, so you put stuff in reserve inside of him, and then he can Tunnel Master anywhere on the board and drop like his 3 units somewhere. But you have Ambush, so why would you ever take him? But
well,
like,
and you can
Slaves-
only drop, I think Tzeentch units with him, right?
yeah, so it's better in like a Slaves to Darkness,
Right,
where
yep.
you've got Tzeentch March Chaos Warriors or something.
He does have an interesting way to remove heroes in this GHB, which is interesting. So there's that, but you're not going to take him. That's why he's on a D, right? Chaos Knights I put on there because they're hard to remove and they're fast. Not going to.
The
There's
best
other
save.
options.
Yeah.
You're
Just
not
having
gonna
a
take
3-up
them.
save is the only reason why it'd be good.
Yep, exactly. Chaos Warriors, I think, have some play. I mean, you could put them in there for I think there's still a better anvil than anything else in this book. So you have
That's
that option.
Fair.
So it's, you could use them if you needed to sit on a point or something. I could see it. That's the only
I've
thing I
got
put
gore for that, sir. Thank you very much.
on. Sure. Yeah, so nothing really to talk about here. Mega Guardian Kronspine. So
Ooh, how dare you, sir? How dare you?
what is your take here, James? Go for it.
So, at 420 points, I can take a War Stomp of Mega Gargant in this army.
Okay. All right.
A War Stomp of Mega Gargant is, what is he, 30 wounds at 420?
35.
35 wounds.
Mhm.
He's 10-inch move, and with the current meta shifting to hordes again, I think the War Stompa is value all day. I don't think
Okay.
he's great in this army.
Yeah, I just don't think he's needed in this army.
Not
though.
in
Right,
this army. You
right.
don't need him. But as an ally, point value cost, I think he's like an A.
I'll give it to you. I just, again, in this book, I think
Yeah.
you're taking other things other than him. He's just
Yeah.
too expensive in this, right?
I don't think there's any allies. This army, these War Scrolls are just, they want to be allied out.
Right.
Yeah.
They don't
Yeah,
really
yeah.
want to bring anything in.
Correct. And I put these allies in these things because sometimes people you don't really think about some of these, right? And then when you start putting in allies that are optional, like you're like, oh, maybe that could work. In this book, I don't think that exists, but
I'm just like, the Kronspine is 480 points. For 60 less points, I get 35 wounds with my War
Like,
Stomper.
There's just so many other things that you don't ally things into this army.
No.
Like,
no, I don't think so.
The only thing I could see potentially coming into this army is still the Sphinx. Because the Sphinx
I
still
didn't
does
put it in
give
here.
less.
I looked at it.
It still can give a unit fight last, and this whole army revolves around fight last.
but you have so many other things.
Yeah,
to
you
do.
I
have
know.
so many other
I know, and that's what I'm
options.
saying. That's like my only one that maybe gets in. But
Sure,
like I
sure.
said, I got my bull, I got my gore, I got my
Yeah.
artifact.
I did endless spells. This is going to be pretty much a null here because again, you don't have a lot of casts. What you do want to cast is going to be mostly from the lore or your other faction spells, right? So none of these are really going to work. I mean, maybe Emerald Livestorm, maybe.
No, you have all heard for that.
Exactly. Yep. Purple Sun is overkill. Don't need it. You also don't want to do that to a detriment to you as well, right? Ravenax could be good with Hailstorm, so there's that.
If you really want to do a Dragon Ogre list, go. You know what? You do you. Take that Ravenashing Jaws.
I will say, I still think to this day, Ravenax is one of the best endless spells in the game. I think it is
Oh, 100%. It's
so
good.
But yeah, are you gonna really build into that? Probably not. But it is
You
useful.
do you. I want to fight you. I
Yeah.
think it'll be fun.
All right.
I want to see your custom Dragon Ogre that you handmade.
I do have one, thanks to Colt. Colt, thank you for your Beasts of
And I
Chaos.
want to see that custom thing be on that tiny, tiny base. And wish it was better.
It doesn't look good. Like everybody makes a custom one.
Yeah,
That's
they're yeah,
so bad.
It's real bad. None of these are useful, so we're just gonna move on. All right, so that's the recap. That's what we got going for Beasts. I think, and I'll get your guys' take in a second. Overall, I think tons of variety. I think the downside is obviously the Thunderscorn side of the book. I think that's definitely the more bummer side of it, but still lots of variety you can do here. I definitely don't think this will be the top meta percentage Beasts of Chaos that we have seen in the previous rendition of the book, right? I think Beasts of Chaos was the highest percent win rate. I think
For a
that's
long time.
definitely going down now. But that being said, I think a person that uses this book wisely can still go 5-0. And I still think it's a very deadly book. I love the flavor of Beast of Chaos ambushing from all sides of the board. I think that's a cool thing, and it's super flavorful for beasts. And then lastly, I think, especially this book, I think this book will age really well. Just no matter what it throws at, what GHB it gets thrown at or something. I still think that this will age really well, um, in the future. So those are my takes on beasts. Cameron, what are your thoughts before we go to James?
So I I really love this book. Again, I think it's going to age well. Uh, it's not my type of book that I would be playing. However, there's one circumstance that I think if I really like, especially in a competitive setting, if there is one for what the type of tournament this is if you take this in team matches where it's two people versus two people, each of you has 1,000 points. I think Beasts of Chaos is like S tier in that format.
Okay, yeah, I can see that for
Just
sure.
being able to have the ability to harass, to do the ruins, being able to take raiders, and like not joking around, raiders in a team battle might actually be amazing.
Yeah, I
Being
can
able
see
to
it.
just null deploy, help out your team, your
Yeah,
team member. It, team format, amazing. Normal 2,000 point format, very good. Not as rank though.
yeah, I agree. James, what are your thoughts? What are your overall thoughts of the book?
So I've played a game with the new book, and I played quite a bit of Beasts of Chaos in the previous book.
Mhm.
And I have to say, like, it was a very spike book. That the old tome after that White Dwarf update. Before the White Dwarf update, it was terrible, just
Yeah,
horrendous.
agreed.
But then it became a spike, super spike, and I can't say like it was a fun super spike army. Like I find
Yeah.
this book much more fun to play than I ever did the old tome. Um, the old tome was just so punishing for bad play.
Yeah,
So it was a constant struggle to just be keeping your army alive on the board to do what you want to do. This one, it just seems like the piece is ready to fall in place. My only worry with this book uh, is that the meta does seem to be shifting back to a shooting heavy focus now that Bounty Hunters is out of the mix. And I worry because a lot of your key pieces, like your Chaos Gargant, your Cockatrace, um, some of your key buff pieces don't have great saves, and your Bulgors are 5-ups. So a strong shooting army, if you do not handle your deployment correctly, put the correct pieces up, you could see your army get disintegrated very fast. And so it's hard for me to give this like a great show. I don't think it'll win LVO as it sits right now, is what I'm basically saying. I think it will do well. I think there'll be a lot of 4-1s, maybe a 5-0, but I
that's
just
fair.
it's
Shooting
too hard.
really hurts.
Yep,
Yeah.
and that's kind of where we ranked it, right? We ranked it A to B tier, right? I think
Yep.
this this definitely settles them down a bit. But I also think the book's a lot more fun and a lot more variety now. I mean, no more egregious dragon ogre lists, right? Like that's all we saw, and now we don't. Now we don't get that. Now it's you have a lot of options. Like when I look at this book, we were talking about it through the entire stream. It's hard to figure out what you want to take because there's so many good options. So I think this is a great tome for them, even though there are some downsides without summoning and all of that stuff. But I think this is a lot more of a fun book, like what you said, James.
My biggest con, I would say, is that Chaos Warhounds were not battle line, because I have a bunch of them, and I think they would have been such a good chaff. Just amazing.
Let's not get into dogs.
Dogs for the win.
Here we go. We're gonna do a show on Camaron's dog list, and then realize how miserable it is to play against, because it is. Trust me. Good old dogs. How many dire wolves do you have, Camaron?
That I own, I think like 75.
Do you? Oh my gosh. Do you know how many you've actually used in a game?
58.
Oh my god. It's just insanity.
Is my max amount of dogs on the board.
That's just crazy. One of these days we'll have to go through that list. It's miserable. All right. On that note, that's it. That's all we got for this show. I think coming up we have some good ideas and we want to kind of do some interviews with. I'm gonna see if I can try to get Jason from Monument Hobbies on here. That'd be pretty cool. His story is pretty cool, and I've known him for a long time. So that's gonna hopefully be a pretty cool show. And we have some other ideas as well. I want to get Justin on here as well to do a MCP show. I think that'd be pretty fun. Especially coming from someone who's never played MCP. I think it's very intriguing to me. So, and I know Camaron, you enjoy it. Yeah.
I want to play it. I have a whole bunch of models.
I play it a lot. It's a lot of fun.
Yeah, and I know.
Come over and so I can play with you. Teach me.
Well, James, when do you move? When are you out of here?
I'll be moving probably sometime in June.
Okay, so you still have a little bit of time here.
Yeah.
Other than that, if you missed this, obviously catch it on YouTube. Please go subscribe to the YouTube channel. Gets our name out there. We've already got all of the recaps from LVO on there, as well as the episode 1 of the Gits book. So, and that's my pride and joy, and that was a fun one to make. Other than that, any other last comments from you guys?
Seems like fun, and I can't wait for Flesh Eater Quartz.
Yeah.
I am right there. I've been painting a lot of them.
For real. I actually have a pretty good amount of flesh eaters as well, so that'll be exciting as well. All right, on that note, I will talk to you guys later and see you next Tuesday.
See ya.
Bye.